Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another edition of the Quantum Compass. Today, we will be having a look at the wave spell that is incoming, the blue magnetic hand or the blue healing hand that will be running from the 5th to the 17th of January. And it's a pretty interesting period because we have a couple of Cazimis. We have a big conjunction involving Mars, Venus, the Sun, and somewhat Jupiter and Mercury as well that some people have been looking at. And we have a series of squares with Chiron, all within the context of the blue healing hand. It's been quite the start to the year, right, Bella?
Yeah, so we're starting 2026 with a bang and alignments, planetary alignments for the whole solar system. We're going to go into that with the sidereal, 13 sign sidereal astrology. But as usual, we'll go through the Mayan cosmology as well. So putting everything into perspective, a very important wave spell for alignment and attunement.
Right, and here we are, as we usually are, recording the Quantum Compass on the Day of Cooperation with the crystal tone here in this wave spell of the Wizard. And as we started to do in the last few editions, we want to just take a few moments to review this wave spell of the Wizard and indeed also the review of the Zolkin so far, because it's been pretty full on. Ever since the 19th and the flyby of Three Eye Atlas, then we had the new moon, we had the solstice. We also had the switch from the 12 to the 13 in the Zolkin. We had 3 days of stillness. We had the return of the light, and then we had the usual wonkiness that is a period between those things that people celebrate called Christmas Day and New Year's Day. All felt very weird and surreal, but a lot of it felt very, very strong, particularly in the 3 days of stillness. Now, maybe some of you are thinking, 3 days of stillness? What on earth is he talking about? There is a period between the solstices and the feasts of St. John and the feast of Yeshua, or Christmas Day, where the sun dips below the horizon and creates this sort of 3 days of stillness. And energetically, it's a thing. You can actually feel the grid drop out for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
If you're used to looking at the sky and looking at where the sun rises, you'll see that it's in the point that is farthest east, south, southeast. And that's where you'll see the sun coming up and then going on the opposite direction, but also very far south. So that is what happens when we go into the solstice, is when the sun is the farthest south or the farthest north as well.
Right, so of course this happens in both hemispheres of the planet, north and south. And here in the northern hemisphere, we've just been through our winter solstice when the amount of daylight in the day is at its shortest, which is really another way of saying going into the womb space, going into the void. Now, recent decades have seen that the forces, the powers that be, have become very adept at distracting us with all kinds of stuff, not least of all Christmas and family and TV movies and buying presents and all of the stress that comes, all of which is a really, really great way of stopping us from sitting and meditating during those 3 days to go inwards, because it's inwards where the real action is taking place. And this Christmas, the action was huge, absolutely huge. It was game-changing stuff, grid-changing stuff, operating system changing stuff. A lot happened in those 3 days of stillness, but if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't have seen it. So this is, I think, Bella, is something of a segue into this way spell of the blue healing hand, because it's become very apparent to us that the people who are doing the best in this process at the moment are the ones who've created space to go inwards. Those who are super distracted and not going inwards at all are really, really finding their stuff coming up strongly because they're not going in and meditating their way through their blockages or their density. Hence, I think why we have 13 days of healing coming to everybody with 4 squares to Chiron. So there's a lot of emphasis on release in this incoming wave spell. But off the back of the wizard, two things happened. The gift of New Earth was truly opened spectacularly on the day of Christmas, so the Christo Mass or the Return of the Light. And with that, the amount of information that flooded in was almost overwhelming for about 10 days. Evening meditations went from being an hour to 3 hours because the amount of information coming in was that much, all of which was being installed into each and every one of us. but also into the grid. But again, if you didn't sit and meditate and go inwards and ask to see what's going on, you wouldn't have seen it. So the emphasis here really, Bella, seems to be moving forwards is about creating space for your own healing, because that is where true sovereignty comes from. It's not handed to you with a certificate from some force that has decided that it has the power to do that. It literally comes from within. As above, so below, as within, so without. If you're looking for sovereignty in your outside world, you have to have found it inside first. Right, Bella?
Right. And there is something also that is very exciting. When it comes to the 7th of December, the 7th of January of 2026, there is a very big alignment. It's a planetary alignment for the solar system, with like 5 planets align. We'll talk about it more and we'll go into it. But that is the day of Orthodox Christmas,
Yeah.
meaning that many countries actually celebrate the Christmas moment at that time. And what is magical about this moment is that we have Venus and Mars and the Sun all conjunct within around 19 degrees of Sagittarius, which is very close still to the galactic center. So we're receiving all of that energy of reset after we know that Mars and Venus and the Sun have been approached by Three-Eye Atlas, and the codes that they absorbed or were impregnated with are now coming to full realignment for all of the solar system. So to me, it feels like the 7 is a big day. And from Christmas time to the 7th of January, there are 13 days. So 13 keeps on coming back to tell us, follow the threads, follow the 13, because it's where all the keys are.
Right, and of course, also in that alignment is Jupiter, the last stop of Three-Eye Atlas, which is in an opposition at that moment. So there's a lot going on, but if you've got this far in the video, please do hit like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, why the hell not? If you've got this far into the video, I think you should subscribe. All joking aside, always want to hear from everybody. Please do share the material if you find it useful. And most of all, love to hear the comments. Would love to hear how everybody's Three-Eye flyby was. How was your solstice? 3 days of stillness, return of the light. I'd love to hear what download you received. And the energy is really, really clear. I think it's important to say that to everybody, is that we have made it. We are now living in a newer frequency. Anything else is just an illusion. Anything that you're experiencing that's coming up, that's giving you challenges, is just internal debris that is already being released, and you're getting to observe it as it comes out. The trick here is to go to your 5th dimensional eagle mind and just be in a place of observation, which is another way of saying your quantum awareness. Watch the stuff coming up, have a look at it and go, oh, I remember when I feel like this, or used to engage in behavior like this that wasn't good for me or anybody else. Now I've let go of that. I can say, oh, thank you very much for teaching me whatever it was. Let it go. Give yourself a pat on the back. Say, well done, Sonny Jim. That's something you managed to move through, because whenever you move through any of those pieces of what we've been calling density now for the last few weeks, or blancmange, flying blancmange, what you're actually doing is dissolving it for yourself, and that actually converts or alchemizes the energy, the fuel that's contained within the density. But even more powerfully, when you do that for yourself, you're doing it in the grid for everybody else. And the more people that set off these pings, the more we have this kind of energetic popcorn effect going on across the planet, which literally helps give energetic boost to the grid, which is now coming fully online. If any of you have been feeling like something got installed in your inner space over this last week or so, please also let us know. It's actually quite a palpable experience, right, Bella?
And experiencing new earth and the highest timeline and this new vibration requires you to be able to connect to nature and to the plants and the trees. That's why they came with a big with a big boom as well. And they have kept us busy because they wanted us to put together a couple of things to help people that have never done any immersions with us or haven't done any plant work to be able to come and learn how to connect to the grid, how to connect to the plants, how to communicate with them, and how to do the final part of the healing process.
Right, so the big news here at QPW is the plants are back. We had to go on some other missions for the last couple of years. The plants have always been with us, but they're coming back super strongly, as Bella said. And this is really also at the behest of our mentor and Zach, our mentor and Ascended Master, rather, Zach, and our friend Janet, bringing this information through that people are going to need healing. So we really, over the Christmas period, me especially, in those 3 days of stillness, was really asked to come up with a quantum first aid healing kit, which we'll talk about nature's gift, but also a pathway to reconnect with your true self. And the only way really to do that is through the heart, which is also the only place that you can communicate with the plants and nature. So we have released a brand new 13-part course called The Great or the Sacred Book of Nature, and we'll be talking about that later on.
Right, so we're going to talk about this wave spell of the Blue Hand, which runs from January the 5th through January the 17th, 2026. But before we get there, I'm still following very closely the Walk for Peace. I hope many of you are too. Is this initiative from these monks who have been walking from Texas on the way to Washington? They have done Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and now they're in Georgia. And the more you see the progress and walking, many of them barefoot, you see more and more people gathering, more and more people sitting down for the teachings. After they walk for hours, they sit down, they do some mantras, and they do a couple of simple teachings of mindfulness. And the main prayer that they want us to share with, you can say it for yourself or you can say it for anybody else, is may you be well, may you be happy and peaceful. And that every time you walk the land, you anchor peace in every single step, especially if you go and connect with nature. Anything you want to add there?
No, it's all very synchronistic, really. These monks walking the earth lines, particularly here in the Americas, in North America at this time. And as Bella said, when they started out, not really too many people were paying attention. Certainly nobody was really following. There was a terrible incident that happened to one of them at the beginning, but now the energy is gathering pace, and I think it's really inspiring for people, even if they probably really don't understand who the monks are or what they're up to. They feel the energy that these peaceful brothers are bringing to troubled parts of the world at the moment. There are very few parts of the world that aren't feeling troubled in some ways. And whenever people see monks walking, they normally put down their anger and their woes for a little while and feel the presence and energy of these very peaceful brothers. So I think it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's beautiful because when people get close to them, they feel the frequency and they melt down and they realize that this is bringing hope and more than anything, knowing that each one of us could do something about it if we just every day meditate and think like today is going to be my peaceful day and try to hold that truth throughout the whole day. That's a difficult one, but if we manage to, many of us do that, the difference will be palpable.
Right, and as a long-term Buddhist student, taking teachings from many lamas and rinpoches, I saw many people literally have meltdowns in front of lamas when the frequency of the field that they entered literally just shifted their density in the field, and people just immediately start releasing. It's quite spectacular, and people just have that almost involuntary reaction when they come into the fields of these beings, and it's what's needed. We need calm and stability in the grid with lots of jarring narratives and polarizing information coming at us. This place of stability and equipoise that the monks bring is really needed.
So what's beautiful is that this energy of peace, wherever they walk or wherever they gather, they're anchoring that energy. And to me, it's not only bringing peace, but also healing every time people get close. And this is the moment of healing that we see the whole planet is actually going to go through. We have made it to the highest timeline, but we know that the majority of the population hasn't reach that point of harmonic resonance with the planet. And it requires us to do a lot of healing, the final bits of debris and density and shadow work, because the unseen is going to become seen from now on for everybody. There's no more hiding, there's no more corruption. Everything is going to get to a point of being seen from this moment on, where the harmonic resonance will be reaching a point of crescendo and of high consciousness.
Right, so something else that the monks always do is purification rituals, or always, almost every day. They do pujas in Tibetan Buddhism and make offerings, but they're also purifying the grid. And we watched a video where they were very polite and said, it's nice that people want to come and shake our hand, but we'd prefer it if you didn't really, particularly as we've taken vows and so on and so forth. But what they're really getting at is that they want to keep their energy field pure, because if they're contaminated, it allows their frequency to drop. And also part of the Buddhist tradition is learning what are called siddhi abilities, which allows them to walk actually long distances. But in order to do that, they have to be in a sort of a place of meditation. And so, as we're in this healing hand walk, this purification process is going to go on. And as Bella was just hinting at, we're living in a moment with the spiral. And as that spiral spiraled out from the convergence, the golden convergence, it's been steadily and incrementally increasing the frequency that we're all living in. And what that's doing is bringing the things not in that frequency up to be purified. So it doesn't really matter whether you believe this or not. It's just a simple case of energetics and frequency. And as the frequency rises to what we would call a higher frequency, anything that can't match that frequency is being forced up, including all of our unseen stuff, our shadow, maybe even stuff that we are blindsiding ourselves from. But it's worth bearing this in mind, because it's just a process. And the trick really, I feel, is just to see the spiral as a wave, and to have a surfboard on top of the wave and just keep riding the wave and just keep releasing the stuff as it comes up.
Yeah. And I like to share this slide quite a lot, because it is the goal. We want to reach harmonic resonance within ourselves, and within the spaces and the groups that we share energy with, because that in that way we're creating like a magnetic effect, a great wave that is awakening.
Right.
And pulling everybody into oneness. When we do any activities or immersions with the groups, we can feel that unity consciousness, and we get to do amazing things as we travel through the astrals, or we travel through different dimensions. So this is part of what many of you get to do as you enter this path of reaching harmonic resonance. And part of this is aligning with the spiral and the golden mean, which is the basis of everything, is our DNA, our structure, our body, time, real time. Here we're talking about the true time, which is the one that we connect to through the frequency of the 1320 and the 13 moons.
Also with the monks, they're very much into mindfulness, of course, and an ongoing moment by moment practice for them is to be mindful and to observe what is coming up for them in any given moment. And, this is another way of saying, learn to watch yourself, have a journal, have a little notebook, and just make a note each day of when you felt really good. Was there something that just happened before that? Do you not feel so good? Did you go somewhere? Or just kind of keep a mindfulness diary of watching the energies fluctuate and observing, is this something maybe to do with the sun? Inform yourself. That's also something which is what we try to do with Quantum Compass. Is it the astrology? How is it affecting me? Is it the sun doing something? How is it affecting me? I've been tracking the solar energy for quite a long time and still don't have any hard and fast conclusions as to how the solar flares do or don't affect me. But you can keep a journal of these things. But most of all, it's really another exercise, a mindfulness exercise, to see when you get triggered, when you get pulled out of your place of the sacred center. And one of the ways that can happen is with traumas that are being hijacked, being manipulated, and many other things. And we've always said here at Quantum Plant Healing, quantumplanet.world, that the best way to do that is working with quantum plant healing or quantum plant intelligence. So with the very strong push from the plants and just generally the nature spirits, which also includes the elemental beings such as the dragons and the fairies, the fae, the creative beings of nature, to come up with this nature's gift, a very special sort of 2.5 hour guided journey. That's also a teaching, really. It has all of the plants in it that you will need right now to get you through anything that is going on for you. There's a series of sacred plants, most of them fairly well known, right, Bella? And you will need to get some teas and essences yourself. But these are actually fundamental plant first aid items that you probably would want to have in your cupboard. Anyway, and so it's done in the form of a narration, a story, into the magical book of nature. And there you will meet many wonderful characters, many well-known plant and elemental friends. And in doing so, very much like the lamas, you will receive a transmission that is channeled by me and Bella with the nature spirits, the elementals, and the fae all in place. So that energy will come immediately into your energy field and start healing because it's quantum. And also it will be instructional and educational because all of the plans give various different teachings at a nice, easy to integrate level, right, Bella?
Right. And what nature and the plants and trees have asked us to do together with our guides is to create to go into basics. So this is the first aid, simple one transmission, like a first aid kit when you're not feeling maybe you're feeling anxious or you're stuck, whatever it is, this is the first aid kit. And then we've also been asked to create a whole 13-month 13 moon really called the Sacred Book of Nature, which is bringing more people that want to get into the space of talking to the plants, healing with the plants, learning from the plants to get into this path, especially for those of you that haven't done anything, any plant work or any of our immersions, especially for those, it's like bringing a new wave of people into the path of nature.
Right, so as Bella said, it's 13 volumes. There will be a 5 day of intensive video transmissions that will form each of the modules. It's very, very carefully, how to say, accented with progressive learning through many different things. The plants are at the core of all of this, but this is really about how to communicate with nature, the nature realms. It's a specific pathway. It's called the Green Path, and the Sacred Book of Nature is a thing. It's an energetic code, I would say, which we've been working with in bits and pieces for quite a long time. But finally, the whole book got downloaded over Christmas. And so we're here to share that with you. And the plants are absolutely raring to go. They haven't given up. I've been woken up at 6 o'clock every morning for 5 days in a row to make sure that this one was released in time for this blue healing hand wave spell. They really pushed us, brothers and sisters, to get this one out. So if you have been missing the plans, if you would want to learn how to fully communicate, not just with nature, but your internal world, because the Sacred Book of Nature is really inside of all of us. And so it wants to explode into our outside world. So that our outside world is also a book of nature or a Garden of Eden. So this is the way to do that, everybody. And there'll be a little bit more on this towards the end of the show as well.
Yeah, and you can get all of the information on the platform on QPW.
Right, and also just to say, the Nature's Gift is very affordable, but is also a prerequisite for the Sacred Book of Nature because it gives all of the healing that is necessary to really open up the channels. This Sacred Book of Nature is really an energetic download that is going to be transmitted through lots of really cool and exciting new gizmos and techniques that we've been learning over the Christmas period.
Yep. So let's do the Mayan cosmology. We know we're in the resonance seed year where our cosmic seeds are getting activated. We're getting into alignment, getting all of the codes which came with 3i Atlas, especially around December 19. Many of us felt the amount of codes and energy that came ready to get activated over the next probably 13 to 18 months. But it depends on where you're at energetically and how your DNA and your body is structured at the moment. We know that we've been going through a metamorphosis. So after understanding that we're activating our cosmic seed cells, we realize that there is a process there of getting everything in place. And this is part of, I think, what the plans are going to help us do together with the work with the Ascended Master Zach and the reconnection to the star soul, which is something new that we'll talk about in the near future. So we are working from moon 6, the rhythmic moon, towards the resonant moon, number 7. And this wave spell is going to bridge the 2 moons. So we ran the first moon finishes, moon number 6 finishes on January the 9th, and then we go into the 7th moon. And the moon number 6, which we're wrapping up on January 9th, is all to do with the rhythmic moon of equality, with organizing ourselves. This is a lot of what we've been doing. We were asked to sit down, write down, organize, plan, bring some balance into things, work with the regeneration energy of the lizard, which is like, okay, working with masculine and feminine energies within ourselves and as a couple, how are we going to bring the next part of the journey? Because we're in a 13 moon journey. So we're moving from moon number 6 to moon number 7 is telling us, okay, do the balance, organize yourselves so that now that we entered the moon of attunement and alignment on January the 10th, we're going to go into full attunement with what is to come. And we have received enough of the codes, but we need to reconnect our vessel as a channel to receive everything. And the beautiful totem for this moon is the monkey, which is saying, be transparent, be joyful, be present, be playful, bring lots of fun into this equation. And the question for this moon up to February 6th would be, what can I do to stand in the light of my full mystical power? So we're going to be working with our 7 chakras and aligning ourselves for 28 days. And what is magical here too is that the solar system is aligning on the 7, 8, and 9. Like going into this attunement moon, we're doing a solar system alignment. That is incredible.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And also, if we're thinking about the journey of the monks and of mindfulness and equipoise or equilibrium, that's very much the moon we've just been in, balancing the two snakes, the masculine and the feminine, the two serpents, the central column. And a lot of this next period is going to be about attuning to your inner technology. When we say we work with the mystical column and the toroidal field, this is actual inner technology, and we can see it now. Not only can we see it, we can see where blockages are, we can see how the energy wants to flow. It's an actual interior world. And this next moon is going to be critical for everybody to attune to the new Earth Gaia grid, because if you're not attuned to it, you won't be able to experience it. And this sort of process of purification, of balancing, and particularly in relationships, we can understand how difficult it's been over the last 5 years, but particularly the last 2 or 3 months. Being in partnership, the whole equal and opposite, yin and yang, that's the how to say the top of the mountain for partnerships, really, is how to get to that place and still be in the same mindfulness equipoise that the monks are in. They took the option not to do it that way. Yeah, maybe they knew something. But being in partnership in any description in a relationship has been tough at this time. So if you're still here and in good shape with your partner, then well done, because it's been tough. But now maybe together, having gone through that initiation of coming back to balance in a loving partnership, spiritual partnership, you can start to attune now to what that partnership wants to do. If you're not in a partnership and single, then your mission is obviously a little different, and you can also attune to that. So everyone's now going to get different missions according to what their higher selves have set up for them.
That's right. So here in Mayan cosmology, we try to do the year, the moons, and so we know that is the resonance seed year, going from moon 6 to 7, and now we're going to go into the wave spell, which is part of the sacred round or soulkin. We started a whole round just past December the 10th. So we're right in the beginning. We're in the beginning of this 260-day cycle, which, by the way, connects to the Venus cycle. And I'm going to do a whole show just about that because it's really important. So here we have is the third wave spell, Kin 27, and going all the way to Kin 39. Only one galactic activation portal, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So why is it important to reconnect with this sacred flow? Because this is the natural alignment that we have inside of us. This is the way our DNA is actually can be synchronized. And we're like tuning forks that are attuning to the cosmos and to nature. We've been completely disconnected with the Gregorian calendar and with artificial time, with so many, with beliefs, with Western astrology, which also keeps us misaligned. So we're trying to bring everything to 13 to realign ourselves, because we have 13 articulations in our bodies and 20 glyphs. The 20 glyphs are reflected in our toes and fingers as well. So we, as I was saying, we're still in the beginning in the east or the red castle, which is the castle of initiation. And this is the very third wave spell. So there are 4 wave spells per castle. This is the third one, called the blue magnetic hand. And that's the one we're going to talk about, running from January 5th up to January 17th. So being at the beginning, it tells me that it's laying out the ground for all of us to do our healing in this new cycle. What part of the healing hasn't been done? And I think we're going to be shown quite a bit of information. We'll look into the astrology in a minute, but the information that is going to trigger lots of people is there for a reason. And so this is the moment to have tools to go through this process. So I see it happening worldwide, where there'll be lots of announcements and probably war and lots of other things that they will want to pump at us. But we are going to be in healing mode, making sure that we use our hands and our art and our craft to be able to use it as therapy for ourselves. If you're into knitting or painting or something, sculpting is really useful at this moment. And just like the monks, bring the mindfulness, bring the peacefulness moment by moment into everything you do. Because it's through this process of activating our creativity that we bring more of our mastery day by day. So this energy of the blue hand is about complete accomplishing things, making sure you complete whatever you're trying to do, if it's a project or an idea, or use the discernment to leave behind what you know you're not going to dedicate more energy into, and just focus on those things you know you're going to make sure that you see them to the end. So discernment is a good word for this moment as well. Healing and discernment. Closure. Maybe there are things you need to close now, and you know you don't need to go there anymore. Anything you want to?
Interesting. What have you been up to the last week or so with your
Lots of knitting.
lots of knitting and weaving?
Yeah.
I love the idea of the weaver women, and Bella's been doing this too, weaving magic into really beautiful, in this case, a mochila, but it can be usually cloths or rugs or a poncho or something. But
It's a good way to bring
yeah,
presence and to put your thoughts and your prayers into something that you do with your hands.
yeah, okay.
So over this period of time of this wave spell, there could be some shadow that we could look at. For example, being overloaded or overwhelmed with pressure, like you take too many things on and then you don't see any of them through. So that is part of the shadow. Just make sure you focus your energy on those things that are very relevant and those that you know you will complete. Another shadow could be feeling inadequate or becoming too scattered, also because of the overwhelm. You could go into scattered places. Giving away your power to external tools. It could be astrology or cards or whatever. They are all very useful tools, but the actual channel is yourself. So realizing that you are the channel, not the external things, that they don't have the power, is you yourself. Another shadow could be lack of commitment. You know that there are things you want to accomplish, you know you need to get organized, but if you don't have the commitment, those things are going to be halfway through. And then we go back to feeling bad or feeling disappointed or inadequate. It's all a vicious circle that we want to be able to break and transform it by completing what you start, even if it's a small thing. Make sure you see it to the end and celebrate it. Bring resolution to things that are hanging out and they've been hanging for days, weeks, months, or years even. So make sure you complete those little things. Be aware of the resistances and distractions. It could be the phone, the computer, the TV. It's easy to get distracted. So let's make sure we come back to a point of presence and enjoy each step of the way. So if we start choosing the things that we love to do, we will have the commitment to do everything step by step and finishing. Be committed, use that focus intention, and bring all of our creativity through it.
Right, something that's just hitting me as you're talking through the energies of this wave spell, Bella, and you said complete what you start. And perhaps, just as a suggestion at this point, what we're all here to do is complete the mission that we came here, the one that we started. And this is the moment where we complete that first part of the mission, which is to wake up and remember who we truly are. Those are the codes that were being downloaded over Christmas. And if you were in a place to receive, you should have a much better idea of who you are as a cosmic being right now. So I would suggest if you haven't made that the priority in your life, then perhaps maybe you might want to for the next cycle of the Zolkin or 13 moons. because the mission you came here to do was to remember yourself, and everything else really is somewhat secondary to that. So maybe the imperative here with this healing ways, Bella, is to utilize these 13 days with that full clarity of intention. I wish to remember now who I truly am so that I can finish this part of the mission and now look forward to doing something that none of us have ever done before, which is living in New Earth as a evolved cosmic human being. That's the mission that we're all completing at this time. It's kind of exciting if you think about it like that.
Yeah, and you can see all of those themes reflected in the wave spell. We normally don't take too long doing this part, but what we can see here is that on day 4, we're seeing the form, and the form for healing is here with the white dog, with love, unconditional love and compassion. If we look, for example, at day number 6 with the human, is telling us that we find balance as we balance within ourselves and rewire ourselves, making sure that we become clear chalices or vessels for the energy to be anchored. Or, for example, with day number 10, the manifestation of this wave spell is being the warriors that we came to be, peaceful warriors to anchor the new frequency. And then we're going to transcend this wave spell with the energy of storm that could be quite chaotic depending on how your energy is, or it could be just a catalyzer and a bringer of change. So change is going to be part of this wave spell, whether we like it or not. And we will probably see it on the external, and we want to be ready on the inside to go through these big waves.
Right, we'll get to this in a minute, just while we've got this diagram here. This first part of the wave spell up to here with the resonant Skywalker is really all about the energy of fire and Venus in the first half of the wave spell. But this second half of the wave spell is mostly about Chiron and healing. And it starts with this very strong sequence of 4 glyphs. Whenever these 4 pop up in this sequence, I always pay attention because it means that there's big energy of change. Skywalker to wizard to eagle to warrior. Very, very powerful set of 4 compass points there. So we'll look at the astrology later, but just that image really helps to sort of anchor in those energies.
Mm-hmm. And so the easiest way to follow a wave spell is to journal, asking yourself these questions day by day, being present, following the synchronicities, and seeing how the themes come to your reality. And we have created this very useful workshop called The Alchemy of the Sacred 13, which teaches you how to follow these wave spells and containers every 13 days, and how can you use them. Remember that those can be used for 13 months or for 13 years. So it's the fractal, but the energy is the same. It's 13 tones to follow.
And also, just to take this opportunity to share that on our YouTube Starseed memberships, I do a daily mind glyph reading. Short, it's just 3 minutes, but it's a really useful way to start your day with the energies and meditations and the glyphs in your awareness. And when you combine it with the Alchemy of the Sacred 13 workshop for just really 2 or 3 wave spells, you'll get the idea of how to sink into the place of being in a continuing story. And that's really what this technology is all about, right, Bella? In the new Earth universal time code frequency where time is art, we can also understand that time is magic or time is play. Not time is an illusion or time is money, which is what we've been living with. And so the quicker we as a society get into this unending sense of play through the alchemical 13, the more we get to use the technology. And that's also what was downloaded into us, was the playground in which to work with the mystical 13. But you sort of need to know how the 13 works. And so this workshop is really just a way of going through the layers, and you can use it in conjunction with the Starseed membership program, which is just $10 a month on our YouTube platform right here, in fact. So enjoy.
So let's go into the astrology now. And to me, the biggest thing that is happening, well, there are 2 big things. One is the Venus superior conjunction happening on the 6th of January. This is part of the 8-year cycle. So you could see it as if you're a beginning of a whole cycle of 584 days. If you're following, if you start to count in 2020, so you're probably halfway through one of those cycles. So either ways, the superior conjunction that is happening now is making sure that we align with the energy of Venus. And you want to see where this is affecting your chart. What house is it affecting? What themes, what areas of your life? But when we talk about Venus, we're going to be talking about relationships. So, new beginning or endings of relationships, love situations, abundance, values. And we also have Mars conjunct the two of them. So on the 9th is when Venus is going to conjunct Mars. But right now, the three of them are in very close position. So Davyd is going to talk more about the astrology. But I just wanted to mention here the superior conjunction from Venus on the 6th of January and on the 7th of January, the alignment with the rest of the planets. So what I mentioned at the beginning of the Orthodox Christmas is very important because it's celebrated on January the 7th in many different countries like Russia, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria. Many different places celebrate actually the 7th of January, which is also the day of the three wise men. So all of this information and Christ consciousness is now coming into our full alignment to start something new, a new grid, Christ consciousness grid, a new earth. I think many things are happening now and the presents are going to be unfolded. One of the stars that is being highlighted from the stellar nations is a bear's or Christ consciousness star called Nunki. It's in this system of Sagittarius. And the beauty of it is that it reconnects us with the feminine instinct. It's like bringing the great goddess energy, the intuition, and the reconnection to the heart as we are doing this whole reset. So to me, it's a very good omen, all of this situation going on with Venus.
Right.
The other thing that we wanted to highlight is on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January, we'll be seeing this alignment of the solar system where I kind of drew a line here to show how perfect this alignment is. So we can see Jupiter here in the far end, and then we have two of those comets that are coming very close to the alignment. One is called Chumasi, and the other one is, what was this called? What did we call it? Cheetos or something.
Vichos.
So on this alignment, we have Jupiter here in the far end. We have the Earth and the comet close by. We have the Sun in the center, of course. Then we have Venus, the other comet, and then Mars. And what is amazing is that these are the planets that have been touched by Three-Eye Atlas. I mean, Jupiter is going to be very soon in March, I think. So this is no coincidence that the whole in the moon of alignment and attunement, we go through a solar system alignment, and we're doing it through the process of healing as well.
Right, I would say that to the people giving these asteroids and comets and everything else a name are starting to have a bit of a laugh with us because they had relatively reasonable ones before, but now we've got Schwausman, Whackman, Schnausness NASA, and Vichjots. I think
They're having a laugh.
yeah, Atlas and Swan were a lot easier to get your tongue around, but I'm assuming this must be because these are being spotted by our brothers and sisters somewhere on the European continent, probably I'm assuming from Germany or Austria or somewhere. So anyone who knows the answer to how come all of the comments have now got incredibly difficult tongue-twisting names, please do let us know in the comments.
I think more than the names, what is important here is the huge alignment that is happening for us. I think it's like the signal, like the key that moves the whole solar system into position. Because the upgrade and the evolution is not just for the planet, it's for the whole solar system. That's why the journey of Three-Eye Atlas has been so specific. So all of this is happening within the Sagittarius, according to the 13 sign and sidereal astrology, which would be from December 19th up to January 19th. So all of this window where we're reconnecting with our higher mind, with our self-mastery, with being visionaries, creating new earth, with being expansively generous, thinking about joy, and lots of ideals to make sure that this world that we're starting to create is beautiful and is expansive and it's going to bring all of the blessings that we want. So Sagittarius is the season where all of this is happening, and we can show it here on the chart.
Right, so what I've done is just break this into two or three different charts just to highlight some points. So here on this first chart, we have the Venus star point, which is really the Venus Cazimi on the 6th of January. Happens around 10:35 Central Time, so about 2:35 p.m. UCT. And that, of course, is a Cazimi. So there is a combustion there. The energy of Venus, of the heart, is getting combusted by the universal fire of the sun. Then Venus meets Mars. It's equal and opposite. They're masculine equivalent to the feminine in our solar system. All very, very close together with the sun because just a few days later, the sun goes into a cazimi with Mars, which we'll have a look at in a minute. All of which, as Bella said, happening in Sagittarius, but also right at that period, the sun opposes Jupiter in Gemini. So these are all done on the days of exactitude, but essentially, as Bella showed in that picture, they're all happening in an alignment. And I would suggest that this is a period of alignment. After these blueprints and grids were being downloaded, they are now available to everybody if you're aligned. The planet had to be aligned first, and humans will follow suit. So the process of alignment is inevitable, and if you're resisting the process of alignment, you're just going to make it more painful for yourself. So thankfully, we have some plants to help us with that, which we'll get to in a minute. But here we can see that Venus really is to the fore. There is a Mercury opposition to Jupiter, which we perhaps speak about in a minute. But at the end of the wave spell, Venus really comes in with some nice harmonious aspects to Uranus in Taurus with a trine, and then sextiles both Saturn in Pisces and also Neptune in Pisces. So that's how the wave spell is shaping up. We'll come back and have a look at the bits and pieces in a minute. I've also included here using the new asteroid option that is available on the Master in the Zodiac 13 sign software program. I've marked number one is the asteroid Hidalgo, and number two is the asteroid Artemis. And you'll get to understand why in due course. But we like Hidalgo. He is bearer of the warrior monk leading the charge in honor of the goddess, who is now fully returning, has returned into the system. And a lot of the changes that we're about to go through, which have already started, we can see by the increase in the price of silver. This is the goddess negotiating with the very external yang patriarchal world that we've been living in, that now we're going to come back to parity and balance. And so the silver charge, I think, is one way of measuring how that negotiation is going for silver, because the outcome is inevitable. And it's just a case of how much the yang masculine principles get used to that idea and how quickly, Bella.
Good. Called it off last show.
I know you did. I know silver now at a record high in recent times, and really and truly, silver is a lot rarer than gold, and gold is something that we naturally produce ourselves. This is something we're going to be learning about very soon, how gold is a naturally self-produced wealth, hence why we should never really be poor. But silver's a little different, and its price really should be at least in parity to gold, which tells you something about how much silver has been repressed and how much the goddess has been repressed, all of which is about to change. And I think a lot of what we're going to see on one of the other slides here with the Chiron squares is about that rebalancing. So whilst all of this energy is going on during the overall play of the wave spell, I just wanted to pick this out because it's the wave spell of the hand, which is mostly about healing, but also about artistry as well, because there are a series of squares in the second half of the wave spell, pretty much every day with a little break towards the end. But first of all, on day 7 of the Resonant Skywalker, Venus squares Chiron. Then the following day, the Sun squares Chiron. The following day after that, the Mars squares Chiron. And then a few days later, Mercury squares Chiron. All of which I think is a way of saying, how far have you come in completing what you started, your mission to remember who you are? Because if you're not remembering who you are after this series of squares with Chiron, I don't know what to say. So
degree, 33 degree of Pisces. I
right.
think that's very symbolic.
Very symbolic, right? So just running through those, though, we could say perhaps, Bella, that the square with Venus is about the heart, the square with the sun is about our sense of self, our radiance, our Mars is about perhaps our masculinity. We could also say that Venus is challenging our inner feminine, and then Mercury is perhaps challenging how we communicate with the world, right?
You know what I'm seeing?
Sure.
There is a thread with the centaurs, with
Yeah.
Sagittarius,
Hmm.
with Chiron, which I suggested Chiron as one of the
You did.
rulers
Yeah.
for
Right.
Sagittarius. But the other thing is that it's going to be the year of the horse in the Chinese calendar coming up. So I feel like there is a lot of that energy, the healing with horses, maybe.
Right. And of course, if you follow stellar nations, there is the whole horse nation of the Pegasus beings, who very much is Mercury in many ways. So that square perhaps isn't such a challenge. It might just be Mercury challenging us to communicate the changes that we perhaps have just gone through or are still going through. But I see this, Bella, as the second half of the wave spell, because it takes us right up to day 12.
Yeah.
It's really everything that we haven't resolved within ourselves, and I mean
Yeah.
everything. There is no more space time to kick cans. The energy spiral is just rising. Anything that doesn't go with that is going to sink, unfortunately. So the trick is to hang on to the surfboard for dear life and keep surfing those waves, but also realize what is happening. I've often found myself that if I at least know why I'm not feeling good, that's already halfway to me feeling better, because I understand what it is. It's like, it's this that's causing me to feel out of shape, not what I really thought it was. Then the awareness really isn't, I think about 90% of healing is bringing awareness to what the root cause was. So I think we're going to get a pretty good run of finding out the root causes of anything that's disturbing us, right?
Mhm. And I like to just point out what I was showing in Stellarium, which is the three here, Venus, Mars, and the Sun, having moved from the center of the galaxy, which was here between Ophiuchus and early degrees of Sag. But now they're moving, and as they have moved on, they're also going to bring the message of the new world, the new Earth, to Pluto, which is in destruction mode, removing all of the systems in Capricorn that will not be part of the new Earth. That process is going to last probably about 15, 20 years. But we'll get to see it in 3D through this process of Pluto. And then we also have a close approach of this very big conjunction between Saturn and Neptune, which is also going to bring the whole new systems. Once we have started to see the veil has been down, we've been seeing so much disclosure, and now we're going to see how we're going to put together those systems in place once Saturn and Neptune are direct, which they have already started the journey in Pisces, bringing spirituality as part of the new process of new Earth for all of us. While Uranus here is doing the process of bringing big surprises, big earthquakes, big moments of in the banking system, as we were talking about with the silver is the one that is collapsing many of the banks because they had suppressed the value so much, and that's how they manipulated the markets. But the banking system, I say it is in the moment of changing cryptocurrencies, blockchain, all of that is coming online with that Uranus energy there, pushing very strongly. And I also see more earthquakes, unfortunately, as being part of this process as well. Big changes.
Right. So there are reasons why I put the two asteroids in, partly because I just wanted to practice with the new software, but I also wanted to see what was there. But I was curious to play with it. And I always include Hidalgo in the charts. And what I'm seeing is here that Hidalgo is in the first degree of Ophiuchus, which has 13 degrees, and he's leading the charge with the goddess, which is really another embodiment of the 13. So now the fight has been taken with the goddess leading the charge and the sacred masculine in support, protecting the warrior priest, taking it to the galactic center. And here we see that Black Moon Lilith has just entered Scorpio recently. And this to me symbolizes, well, both of these really the charge is the warrior priest leading the way. And Lilith, the silver snake queen, as we've now decided to label her, leading the charge in the healing and the exposure of everything that was in the underworld, because that's really where Lilith was for a long time in the underworld. She has all of the information on all of the baddies, every single piece that's in those bloody files. Lilith has all of it. She has all of it and more. And she's going to root out what's going on in the world of finances, because Scorpio is part of the finance axis. So yeah, well, I'm sure you've already worked it out that the financial system is corrupt and needs to be rebuilt. So watch this space with interest, because it's very curious to see how this is going to play out. There is a quantum system online. It's absolutely online, but it's inside, and it's not going to be activated by somebody sending you something in the post, at least not so far. Be cautious of any new systems that ask you to comply in a way that might be reminiscent of compliance from 2020. So I think that's also part of the healing, Bella, is did you learn your lessons the first time round? Have you healed from basically being made to comply, I think, and ask not to ask any questions about why you're being made to comply. All of this needs healing at a planetary societal level. So I'm sensing, Bella, that with all of these placements that there is going to be a lot coming up, which is why it's interesting that the second asteroid is Artemis, which we'll get to in a minute, because she could have a part to play in all of it. And here she is, beautiful image there of the goddess of the hunt, of the animals, of nature, and of course is Apollo's twin sister in the Greek mythology. But I included here, Bella, the astro chart of the Western astrology, just to help pick out where some of these bits and pieces are, because here we have the Mars Cazimi happening at 1913 of Capricorn in the Western system, but as we already know, it's happening in Sagittarius. We can see more clearly here what's going on, but we can see Hidalgo there in Capricorn in that system. But most of all, what I wanted to do was pull up the asteroid Artemis. She who gave her name, of course, to the species of plants known as the Artemisias. So she is here at 20 degrees in Western tropical of Pisces, but if we go back, we can see that she's actually here at the first degree of Pisces. And the really amazing and beautiful thing is that she's in a sextile to all of that Mars, Sun, and Venus energy, sextile being a harmonious aspect, which is really important because if we think about all of that fire and combustion and resetting of energies of an alignment, on that well, the Mars Cazimi is on the 9th. Well, which plant would really help with all of that? Well, of course, there's only one plant, and that's our beloved Lady Mugwort, the absolute embodiment of the energy of Artemis, and perhaps we can say the progenitor of the whole Artemisia species, as she really is the grandmother in many ways of the Artemisias. But the reason I've included her here is because first of all, she's very, very good at realigning literally everything about yourself. She is an incorruptible plant of the 6th dimension, very much a master elementalist, has all of the inner elements very much under balance, which is important because if our inner elements are not balanced, that's when we get out of shape. It's when we get triggered. It's when we feel down about things or anxious about things, right, Bella? This plant can also help us to see clearly, cutting through any lies and illusions that may be coming at us. This can also really come in the form of our ego mind and the illusions that the ego matrix mind might throw up. So also Mugwort is actually a really an amazing teacher to help you to learn to communicate with nature. And part of that is her incorruptible nature. She teaches us really the principle and ethics of Christed consciousness. She is a guardian of the temple of the Christed consciousness energy and very, very connected to Magdalene, actually, the dragon and rose queen. So there is a lot of energy connection with Mugwort, with the dragon energy and with the serpent energy. And that's one of the reasons that she's an excellent grid worker, both with our meridian lines in our body, but also the meridian lines of Mother Earth, the dragon lines, we can say, which is why she's used in moxibustion in traditional Chinese medicine to push energy through our own meridian lines, through the nodal points or the acupuncture points. So really, really excellent plants to help understand geomancy of your own body, but also the body of Mother Earth. Um, she's really, really good at cleansing any lower frequency densities in the field, especially around the base center and the root chakra. So I'm suggesting here, Bella, that I think that this plant is really one for this wavespell full power for many, many different reasons, for assistance in the alignment, for clearing out any density that no longer serves you, and to help dispel fears, doubts, false belief systems, and help you to see who you truly are. This is the moment where Mugwort, especially, will want to help you see the unseen. This is a plant that really embodies bringing the unseen to the seen.
Good.
And here with that nice harmonious sextile with the asteroid Artemis to those Cazimis with the Venus and Mars, all of the energy of the heart, of the masculine and feminine, we're in just moving through that rhythmic moon. It all wants to come to a place of balance. So there's always really good reasons always to have Mugwort in your life. But also she is going to be a major player in this. Alrighty, so the full details are below about this amazing course that starts on the 31st of January, the Sacred Book of Nature. Lady Mugwort will be one of the key teachers in that book. She has been our teacher for many years, especially me. She taught me the Sacred Book of Nature in the way that I learned it, and she wants to share it with all of you. There is an amazing early bird offer running until the day of the alignment. It's an early bird offer, and then there's another one running after that. So if you want to jump on, I absolutely recommend seizing the moment and the initiative and jumping onto what's going to be a really amazing 13-volume journey with ourselves, but most of all with nature and the plants. So I think that's really it for this week, right, Bella?
So a whole wavespell for healing and lots of new projects with the plants, especially for those of you that didn't jump on the immersions when we were doing the quantum plant healing process. Now the plants want us to come back and get more people to do their process so that we can reconnect them to nature and the stars, which is the next part of the journey.
Right, so lots to look forward to. And like we said before, if you are not feeling in great shape, you're probably not alone in that. Just ride the energies, try to do things that make you feel good, cook some nice food, get some time in nature, go for a nice nature walk if the weather is good, go to a local park, sit by a river, try and find a place where you might find mugwort on your land or maybe the fairies. All of these energies really want to help heal the energy of the heart. And at the moment, there is a lot of need for healing, and I think this wave spell is absolutely on time. So use the energy of healing if you're still struggling with some things. Definitely work with the plants, work with mugwort, and I would definitely suggest taking Nature's Gift at just $88. It's really a healing salve for you at this time. So that's it for this episode in Lakesh. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.